Here we go.
Hunt companion. Hunt companion. Hunt companion. Hunt companion.
You have some energy left, right?
Oh, yeah.
Waning.
Always.
A little rut worn.
Yeah.
You sound rut worn.
I caught that something. I don't know. It was weird. It was
Herpes.
like nobody around me was sick. Yeah. No, I'll get down there.
EHD.
Not here, but here.
Yeah. Not so much here.
Here so much.
But right in here.
It's right there. It's just a little sinus thing. So I've been crushing it with
Zycam.
Zycam and also the Tylenol. The sinus focused. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's where you need that
targeted approach.
You didn't get the Zycam nasal one?
I can't do the nasal stuff.
Oh.
Man. I had a real bad experience that ATA.
Cocaine.
No.
Oh.
Afrin.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. You almost bled out.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
real. Yeah. Afrin.
When was that? Like 2020 or something like that? You think, or was it before that?
Before that. It was a while ago.
Yeah, the great blood flow of 2018.
It was a lot of blood.
Yeah, I thought somebody got raged.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a combination of alcohol, sinus infection, probably, almost for sure, and that Afrin. And I like bled out.
I know.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it didn't stop.
I was laying out there with the event people, like the
low blood pressure.
The event center, staff. I was laying out in their smoking area on the bench, just like
pinch it off.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was. I remember that. We got a bleeder.
Yeah. This is not that. This seems manageable. In fact, I'm beating it pretty quick here.
There you go.
You just need a little bit of that.
Tabasco.
A little Tabasco. That'll get you. That'll open you up.
Do a line of that better backstrap.
That'll clog it up. That'll do it. Well, Nick has informed us it's December 1st, if you're listening to this. So long, November.
Crazy.
Just like that.
A lot of season still ahead of us, though. Like if you stop in time here and be like, we're pretty much we're almost 2/3 of the way through it.
Are we back on that discussion of the better part is behind us at this point?
Well, the rut is behind us.
In the early season and the pre-rut.
All
that's left is post-rut.
No, that just passed.
What's that?
The post-rut, I would say. You're gonna maybe get some. I would say your rut hunting is done. You're back
Correct.
on food, and some fawns may be in estrus, and you can get lucky with that.
I would agree. And besides probably some of these gun season, you're done with mornings.
Dude, I hit it just right. Like just got
close.
Just got back from Illinois for our listeners, and I was the rut activity I was expecting to see is exactly what I saw.
It didn't get as cold as it was saying, did it?
No.
Because remember we were looking like a week ahead and we're like, oh my God, this weather is lining up for like the death of all deer during gun season.
Yeah. It never really cleared out either. I mean, I got maybe one hunt with sunshine.
Just gloomy.
Fairly gloomy. I mean, the mornings were in the 30s.
Sure.
High 30s.
Yeah, but at one point in time they were saying the highs were going to be in the 30s.
Were they?
Yeah, when we had left.
Yeah.
We were looking ahead.
That's the one thing about these the forecasts, they're never ever, like if there's one thing that's consistent about them is they're never as extreme as they look in either direction. You know, it's like if you're looking a week out and it's like it's going to go from high of 60s to high of like in the low 30s, it's almost for sure not going to be that. It's going to be maybe high 30s to like.
We'll know it. We're in one right now. Because that's
what you're looking. You want a black and white, like bam, there it is, and it just very rarely.
We're in one right now. It was 62 yesterday in Pennsylvania. I was wearing shorts actually. Today temperatures dropping all day. This is we're filming this on the 26th. By Saturday, which is opening day in Pennsylvania, it'll be a high of 25, low of 12. Damn. For 3 or 4 days in a row. That's cool.
And it has been. You're saying that already happened?
No. That's this weekend.
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. It probably won't be that cold.
I don't know.
It could be.
I bet it is.
It definitely could be, but
I bet it is.
I'm just saying when you look at those forecasts, generally you're like, man, it came, and I came. Whatever happened, but it just never met the full expectation of like.
Yes.
You know.
Well, I mean, so I guess it was when you were in Illinois is when we got our like mini blizzard here, our November blizzard. Yeah, it was
snowed out there a little bit too.
The mountain got like a foot plus.
Wow.
It was nuts. I think we got 6 or 7 at my house, which they were calling. Wow. They went from like calling for, to your point, they were like, oh, it's going to be 8 or 9 inches. Then the day before it went down to 2 inches. They're like, you're getting 2. And then the day of, it just then never stopped snowing. And we got like 7 plus.
Turn this thing off. I'm crazy.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of accidents out my way.
Oh, yeah.
On a good side, I was texting.
There always is on the first snow. People forget how to drive.
They were wrecking in the tunnels. I'm like, there's no snow in the tunnel. Like, it is literally the driest place.
That black ice. You're like, there's no ice here.
I was texting Johnny Stewart. My pond went up like 3.5 feet in 24 hours from that snow, and then we got rain right after.
That's a big jump.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your deepest point now? Would you say?
Oh, probably 6+ feet.
Yeah, getting there.
Oh yeah, we got about 7 or 8 feet to go, and at that point we're also getting wider, so it's going to take time. But every day it's been creeping up.
I felt in the spring. I bet it's full by June.
We're supposed to get another ½ inch of rain.
The snow,
tonight or tomorrow night.
Melt off probably helps a lot too.
Oh, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. We woke up and Harlan's like, he's like, hey, the pond's filling up. I'm like, yeah, nice one, smart ass. I've been looking at this whole. And it did. It was like, it jumped like maybe 2+ feet overnight. I was like, holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Speaking of water sources, my water hole has been holding real nice.
Oh, you've got a lot of rain too.
Yeah, but even before that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's
at Easy Gate.
There's been water in it for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen they've dropped off dramatically on my water hole.
Me too.
Because there's just been so much rain.
Yeah.
I did post a picture. I don't know if I did post a picture. Yeah, I did. And I sent it to you. I was unbelievably amazed at how my plots recovered in Ohio. Like I've got giant turnips and brassicas. I planted that like the last week of August.
Wow.
And I shot my buck on October 4th there, and like they didn't look good. Like it was still dry. Like they did not look good. I'm talking like full out like brassica leaves and big bulbs. Like they grew all through October. I guess because it was so warm.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll do that.
They look great. Now my top plots are struggling a little bit. My rye looks okay. I've got some clover bouncing back, but that drought hit those ridge plots. It's hard. But that bottom is like unbelievable.
Do you see I moved that camera on north back? I turned it back around to the clover.
Mm-hmm.
My thought there was, you want to cover that food source, I think.
It's that rope that's a piece of shit, though.
Yeah, but all the deer that are hitting that scrape that you want to cover are coming through that. Like 90% of them.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming through that, so you're going to get a picture of them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my point being, did you see last night? They're hammering that clover.
Pile of does in there.
Pile of them in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That clover looks really good up there, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, right now, this coming week is like, as we're getting into Hunt Companion here, the food sources are about, like right now is where you're like, man, I'm really glad I put all that work into the food plots.
So I think it's an interesting time frame because not only is it like we're coming out of this post-rut standpoint where it's like they're going to put the feed bags on simultaneous. In a lot of states, we have the biggest cold front coming through. I mean, temperatures in some states are going to be single digits for lows. That's when your grain sources are really going to pay off as well. Because they've really been hammering, I think, the green side of things and really leaving like standing beans alone. Some mowed corn has definitely been getting hit. But this drop is going to force the hand to a lot of grain sources as well. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not like a master of this by any means, but we've talked to enough people and I've seen enough of it myself to feel like pretty confident in a strategy to where what you're saying is when it does that, yeah, they'll flock to the grains. But then on the backside of it, so it's going to be like whatever it is, 10, teens, 20s.
Then it goes up the high 30s.
On the grain. And then when it starts bouncing back, I'd probably jump back onto a green source.
I agree.
You know, and still expecting a little bit of like those mature bucks are going to be pushing
does.
You know what I mean? If some of those estrus does feel forced into feed, they're going to come out and push them around.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's yeah. So this is also I think we're kind of still in that continuation stretch where you might start to see either bucks that you haven't seen in a while show back up because they're coming back out of rut range and they're coming back to where food is. You may see a few new ones show up because if you have the food in the area, they're pulling towards you. It'll be interesting, but we're also either coming out of, so Kentucky's gun season ended on Sunday the 24th. A lot of them, we talked to Skalma, like Wisconsin was the latest ever for their start, so it started on Saturday the 23rd. So
this may be a topic for a full podcast here, but it's funny that we talk about...
We got one coming up. How about that?
Yeah, we'll do it then. About how we get we talk about these gun seasons being like, wow, we got to get these out of the rut or whatever. It's like, and we only complain about it like in states that we're not even in, like Missouri, and every gun season is during the rut. If it's in November, it's during the rut.
Yeah, it's just people will say, to Wisconsin's point, they'll say, well, it's the 23rd of in Wisconsin, the rut's over. Not really. I mean, it's the tail end of it for sure.
I saw, peak mature buck cruising activity these past 4 days. Well, was it the 20th through the 24th?
Yeah, they're cleaning up. The resource is limited.
Cruising.
Yeah, they're looking hard to find the last few adult does.
I passed that really nice 4-year-old. I had that, whatever he is, at least 5-year-old, pushing a doe up into thick cover. I mean, rutting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean...
Saw that 9-point with like 5 does all...
I think you've got, well, if you're listening to this on December 1st, we're tailing out of it.
Yes.
Here pretty hard.
Yeah.
But, we talked about it with Winky. It's like that time frame is really good. In fact, he saw Jordan buck. I don't know if
I know he did.
Yep, saw Jordan buck. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, a really critical time. I think I probably was our first Illinois trip, so the one that we both went on. I've realized that I'm not that good of a
7th, 8th, 9th.
Yeah, I'm not a good like lockdown rut hunter. Mainly because I don't have the patience.
Well, like nobody is. I mean,
need to be
if they're locked down, they're not moving.
Yeah, it's a time on stand thing though. It's like I'm more of a okay. I went in, I sat here, they weren't there. I want to move, right? Where really, if you want to increase your chances, you just continue to hammer it as long as the wind allows you to.
Well, it's just a different mindset. Yeah, I mean, you get to hunt differently then than you would in October or, any other time, really. Because the reality is, and once you see it...
Yeah, because there's no patterns.
And you understand it, you're like, oh, I'm not that bad of a hunter. They're just literally not moving.
Yeah, or there's no pattern.
And when they do, that was what was crazy on our Illinois farm that I've really observed is, and I think I want to say that's that's Midwest what happens, is when they move, they go past all the sets.
I know, it was crazy.
They go past all of them. So it's like, oh, okay. Like I'm not just like making poor choices about where to go.
They're stretching their legs at that point.
They just don't move.
Yeah. Well, even when that buck that you saw, that 11 pushing that doe up in, he hit that corn cove. Well, his doe hit that corn cove at like 340 or 350, something like that. And he had that 4-year-old 8 or 3 or 4-year-old 8 satelliting him there. And then he obviously pushed right up to you.
3-year-old, yeah.
Is that the one with the split brow?
After I saw him a few times.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, you see that kind of aspect of things, and like nobody challenged that deer. He just pushed her right up in on his own. I think at this point, like most of the fighting's been done. The hierarchy's been set.
Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. They know where they stand basically.
Well, yeah, I think we covered it maybe last time, but talking about the mindset of each of the age classes of bucks, like at this point in the rut, like what you're saying, the fighting's been done, the hierarchy's been made, but even the endurance levels, like you see, like their interest in the rut at this point, like those younger bucks are like, you see them, they're just like out in the outfield picking grass, you know what I mean? Because they're like, oh, I'm hungry and I'm this and that. If a doe gets pushed through this, they're like, oh, and then they'll follow them for a few minutes, and then they'll realize like, I'm not going to get my shot here. And
or she's not receptive.
The mature bucks, you know what I mean? They're like Everest climbers, you know what I mean?
They just keep.
They've
going.
got that 40+ endurance, you know. So they're like, there's more.
They're scraping the bottom
all the way
to
the top, bitch.
Yeah. So I think that'll be interesting. I mean, if we kind of tie it back into the hunt companion side, it's first week of December. In many states, you still have gun season. Some states are ending. I think the regular gun season in Michigan ended yesterday. Obviously Wisconsin's still in. Ohio is about to open tomorrow, so December 2nd. Pennsylvania just opened.
Which I have to say, going into this Ohio gun season.
Come on, let's hear it. Let's hear the Jared wisdom of Ohio gun season.
There's no wisdom. It's just like I'm baffled at this point. Like knowing what is there on the landscape at my farm, I'm just like, what are they going to shoot? Like
the 4-year-olds?
I guess. Like there's 1 or 2.
That's what they're going to shoot.
Yeah.
Or GR8, who's 5.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, it's not like there's 0 deer to shoot, but it just seems like with the amount of guys that I know get out there during gun season, and I'm just looking at the deer that are there to shoot, I'm just like, boy, it's
Well, a lot of them are shooting
pretty bleak.
A lot of them are shooting 2 and 3 year olds. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Because it's just a rack buck.
Yeah.
I would say the holdouts, especially in a state like Ohio, 4-year-old is that's probably where they're at. I mean, sure, it's great to get these deer to 5, but it's tough, really tough.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I would assume that's you've got kind of the whatever comes by guy. You've got the guy who wants to kill a decent buck, which is a 2 or 3 year old, and then you've got the guy who's managing or trying to hold out, and it's probably 4 up.
Yeah, and obviously that's just my farm. So there's
that's pretty much all over. And
I'm sure there's good deer out there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I mean it is tough. I mean, so I finally the downfall we'll probably talk about in the main podcast. Love checking SD card cameras. The downfall was most of them either died or filled up my cards long before I got to them.
Really?
Which kind of sucks. Yeah, I had some on scrapes on video mode, and I couldn't believe how much activity it had. I had several cameras shit out on me before November even hit. Like just that much activity on the scrape during October. That's like in there. I mean, I'm throwing 32 gig cards on all of these things. I guess I'd need bigger ones. I don't know.
Wow.
But so I guess from a surprise standpoint, not really. No deer really surprised me. Although, like I said, I had 5 cameras shit out on me between October 10th and November 6th. The other 5 made it till I just picked them up this weekend. There's a 5 or 6 year old 8-point that kind of rules the roost. That's the one with that drop tine I sent you. He for sure rules the property. I've got a pile of 4-year-olds and I've got a handful of 3-year-olds. The surprises were, I think two of the bucks I thought were 5, or actually 3 of the bucks I thought were 5 or older, gone. Like I don't have a picture of them at all during the October 4th to November timeframe.
I saw a lot of that this year too.
Yeah, so I don't know where they scooted off to. There's a 160 plus inch deer that's running around there. That's 5. He usually is on that property. Wasn't on the property. I haven't seen the giant 3-year-old with the split G3 since mid-October. Now he may be in the bottom where all my cameras shit out, so like he could be still on the property. And then there was a couple 2-year-old 10s that I was like, man, I thought they would be homebodies. I mean, I still have a lot of deer on that property and a lot of bucks on it, but I was kind of surprised how many deer left, considering the amount of food that did end up on that property. But I think it's probably rut ranges. I think they just scoot out for the rut.
Well, to wrap it up, I guess, fairly simple synopsis, I think, for this first week of December. We got this crazy cold snap coming. It's right after Thanksgiving. Gun season's its own thing. Obviously, hunt the pressure.
At least for the first couple days, and then it'll mellow out.
Yeah, but otherwise, get on your grain sources, or if you have any. In Ohio, Kentucky, Kansas, get on your corn piles. You know what I mean? That's where they're at. Transparently, so we've had corn out for the past week and a half. Just trying to inventory what's left, and we won't gun hunt, I don't think. So I'm trying to just hold out anything that's there. All the matures have been on them in daylight. So
yeah, that's what they're doing. And when this cold snap hits, they will for sure be glued to them.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you have a big grain source, yes. But if you don't, and you're in a
even
bait,
if you do,
they'll be on the corn pile.
On your corn pile.
Yeah, I saw that on a couple of mine, and I just put them out Sunday.
Otherwise, you want to be on grain, or any food that you have. I mean, if you're the only one with a brassica plot around, I mean, it's and there is no grain, then they'll be there too.
So I'm going to check a bunch of cameras in Kentucky. I'm going there for Thanksgiving. I've got 10 acres of standing beans. So, and they're going to get the same cold weather here. I'll be interested to see if those deer start to funnel in, because I haven't seen any of the bucks. Any of my 3-year-olds are up at all since gun season ended.
Yeah, I think they'll start to.
Yep, start to filter in. So, no, I think that's a good plan on it. And it's December, first week gone. Like you said, a lot of season left. But
I think we're done with mornings too.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe
basically food patterns.
Opening day of gun season or first couple days of gun season, I get it, and that's more pressure hunting. But when pressure starts to mellow out, back to evenings and food.
Yeah,
that'll be the easiest and the go time for it. Unless you get a deer on a pattern, then make a move.
But, yeah.
Anyways, we appreciate you listening to this episode of
Hunt Companion
on December 1st, and we'll talk to you next week.
Take me